All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Kendra Crump Show. I want to, you know what, guys? I every time I try to do an interview, I try to get some of the best out here, right? I try to get people who are billionaires, actually, because I try to surround my circle with people who actually are God fearing, people who are free of drama. You know, this particular gentleman, he is a part of the Black Men Don't Cheat movement, okay? This particular gentleman has never had any issues in his life, right? He's one of God's favorites. This particular gentleman is a happily married man, okay? This particular gentleman is somebody's role model. You know, they're striving to be just like them. You know, this particular gentleman hung out with Tupac the week before he, allegedly got shot. I feel like Pac is currently listening from Cuba. But if you guys don't know who I'm talking about a gentleman by the name of Dana Michael Woods. He is best known for his projects in Southland, Girl in Progress, Who's Your Caddy, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, Good News. He literally was a fabulous writer, great director. This man does everything. Okay, this man does everything. And I appreciate you, brother, for wanting me to interview you. Thank you so much for trusting me to interview you. And how you feeling today? I tried to do a hell of an introduction, so hopefully
I'm good. Well, I appreciate that introduction. I mean, wow. I'm like, wow, I'm on cloud nine. I appreciate the kind words.
Of course.
Thank you so much for having me.
And like I stated and I mentioned earlier about, God fearing and stuff. And I want to say that, God definitely ordained for this to happen, and I met this brother, at a Thanksgiving beautiful housewarming, event and everything else like that. And speaking of God, I wanted to know, when did you know God was real in your life?
Wow. Well, I grew up in the church, and I always knew God was real. I mean, it was what I was taught. And my family and I, my mother sung in the choir, and there was something to do at least 3 to 4 nights a week at the church. There was Bible study. There was building fund meeting, business meeting. There was game night. Friday night was game night, and Saturday night was choir rehearsal. So yeah, so I got dragged to at least 3 out of those nights. So I always knew God was real. I was delivered from when I was a young adult. I didn't make the best decisions. Talking about the 80s. And I was out there, not really having a direction of anything, and that led me to having an addiction. So after so many years of that, I just got down on my knees and I just started praying. There's got to be a better way. I can't live like this. And my drug of choice was rock cocaine. And for some people that may be a shock, but at that early 80s was on and cracking.
It was. Most definitely.
So after being delivered from that, all these positive things started to happen in my life. I packed up and moved to California. I started getting serious about a career, and the rest is it was all good from there. So I always knew God was real. And it's true. It's true in the Bible. He will never leave your side. He will never leave your side or forsake you. So I strongly believe that. So yeah, always knew He was real.
Okay, and there was a couple points that you had mentioned that I do want to divulge into? You mentioned that you didn't have a, like, when it came to the proper guidance. Are you talking about having a proper male role model and mother, like father, like who, like your father, your mother, who were they to you up until that point? Like, you know.
Well, I mean, both of them were great role models, especially my father. As you know, when I was a young adult, particularly like early 20s, you know, the 80s, that whole decade, I don't have good memories because, again, I wasn't making the best decisions, and I just, you know, got into what I now know what depression is. You know, depression doesn't always mean that you're sad all the time. It's just that, you know, you're looking for some type of happiness. I sought happiness, you know, in that drug, and you know, I found out, you know, it was the wrong way to go. So, you know, I wasn't. I just had no. When I say I had no direction, that was because of it. I had no direction, but you know, my mom and dad, they were there for me. They were there for me, you know, and helped me go in a direction of getting clean, you know. And I can proudly say I've been clean for 20. I'm going on my 26th year of being
Congratulations.
Clean. So,
around also the same time when you had also got married, you know, because you've been married for about 20.
Exactly.
Got
yeah.
you.
So yeah, and I met my wife Kathy. I'd say about very early in you know, in my treatment, I guess you want to call it. So, you know, and God was just showing me, you know, there's all these good things out here. You know, you don't have to seek happiness in something else that's ultimately going to destroy you. So, so that was, you know, that was very important to, you know, to stick to that. But, yeah, and mom and dad were very, you know, very, very instrumental in, you know, in keeping my sanity. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I had good guidance. It was all on me. And I didn't feel good about myself. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't in the best of health, not sick wise, but, you know, psychologically wasn't in the best of health. So, you know, it was a process. It was a process to get to where I'm at today, you know. So I'm so glad that I made that decision. And a lot of people can't walk away from an addiction, you know, cold turkey, which is what I did. I just walked away from it, and I never looked back. No regrets.
Very, very proud of you. And I want to ask you, was there ever a time where you almost went broke trying to, especially in the early ages before you just got into acting or however else it may be that you were supporting yourself financially? Was there ever a time where you almost went broke trying to keep up with your addiction at that time?
I don't want to say broke. I don't want to say broke, but I did come close to being evicted many times. Many times I didn't have the rent on time. You know, and God was there. God was there. You know, I thankfully I didn't have to, like, you know, sleep in my car or anything like that. But yeah, I came very close to you know, to being without a roof over my head, most definitely. But you know, financially, you know, at that time I wasn't acting. I was just trying to, you know, I was just trying to make it. I was working 2 jobs, as a matter of fact. I was working at a supermarket and a copy facility. Well, back then they it was called Kinko's. Now it's FedEx Office. So
okay, yeah, I'm familiar.
So I was doing that, you know. But yeah, I came very close to not having a roof over my head.
Did you ever win Employee of the Month or win like any extra Because I feel like you probably were a hard worker. Did you end up winning like any superlatives or anything while working, while being at any of your jobs?
Later, this is when I lived in California. And work got really, really slow. So I went to work for Walmart.
Okay.
And I was there 9 months. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it.
What was your position at Walmart? I had worked at Walmart as well.
I was the guy who greeted people at
the greeter. You know what? I was going to ask you. I was like, were you the door greeter?
Yes, I was. Welcome to Walmart. Can I help you find anything? And I absolutely loved it. And people were, customers got to know me, and they would actually come in when I wasn't there and ask, is Dana here today? I don't see him at the door. So I got like a, what do they call it? A mention, I guess honorable mention, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got that. I think they gave me like a gift card to get some ice cream, from what I remember.
Okay, all right. Hey, you had a sweet tooth. Okay, if you wanted a sweet tooth, go cash it. So let me ask you, since you love Walmart so much, why only 9 months? What happened after that period?
Well, a job came around. Mm-hmm. There was a TV show where they needed a photo double for a child actor, mm-hmm. and one of the production assistants remembered me from a job we had worked on together, and said, "Hey, they're looking for somebody. You were the first person that I thought of. So, here's the deal. This is what it is. They're going on my recommendation. All you got to do is say yes." So I it was a no-brainer for me. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So
mm-hmm.
I had to leave Walmart. It was really hard telling one of my managers that this would be my last week, but they were so understanding and gracious. They said, "Hey, if you ever want to come back, all you got to do is say so." So yeah, that was that's why I left.
And how was that very first time, playing, the double and everything? How did you like that experience as your very first taste of being, on TV? What was that like for you?
Well, it was but prior to that, I had did some stand-in work, and it's basically the same thing when you stand in for an actor, particularly with children. They're required to go to school at least 3 hours a day. So while they're in school, I would rehearse with the adult actors until mm-hmm. they're ready to come on set and film. So doing that, my first time ever standing in was on the ABC show The Hugleys with starring D.L.
Yeah,
Hughley.
I'm familiar.
And I stood in for his TV son. And my first, it was my basic training. It was literally my basic training. And when you work on a show that's called a multi-camera show, there's like 4 cameras. So your skills, that's when your theater skills kick in, because your skills, you have to project, even though there's a microphone over you. You're performing in front of a live audience, and your movement around the set has to be top notch. And you got to know where where your camera is, where your other actors are, where you move, and
mm-hmm.
And then relay that to the actor you're standing in for, and it was great. I said, wow, this is awesome. This is awesome. So that was my ever being on a TV set.
And you say it's called multi-camera, correct?
Multi-camera.
So
yes.
do you like, I don't know, like the different types of cameras that they have, but what would you say is your favorite type of, I guess, camera setup, or your least favorite type of camera setup? Or you like them all
favorite
equally?
I love live TV. Love live TV. You mentioned Good News. That was my first time ever having a role, a speaking role on TV. Was that show? Was the show Good News, which is about 20 years ago. And I don't know if you remember. It was about it was a gospel type of theme show. Mm-hmm. And it was about a church with in need of a pastor, and a young guy shows up and is the interim pastor for this church. So I was one of the characters that was a member of the church, and just doing that is your skills just get enhanced by that experience, and I'm so glad I had that experience. So yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, and I want to kind of go ahead and take things rewind a little bit. I want to first, really more so dive into your upbringing and everything. So please let us know, where are you originally from, born and raised, or born or raised, or so.
Well, I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, go Celtics! Woo woo!
Yeah, go Celtics! Go Celtics!
All right, so we're gonna bring it home with the NBA Finals, right? Championship. Okay.
Yeah, we hope so.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah. Born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I was actually raised in the inner city called Roxbury.
I'm familiar with Roxbury. I'm familiar.
Yeah, Roxbury. Yeah. I grew up watching the New Edition, raised to their level of greatness now. I personally know Mike Bivens.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, met Bobby years ago, and we ended up seeing each other at a kid's birthday party, and we just sat and talked for hours about the old neighborhood. But I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was a good upbringing. It was a good upbringing. It was the inner city. You make the best out of very little. And I didn't know we was poor until I went to I was at middle school, and I went to school in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. I got bused there. I was on a school bus with with other kids mm-hmm. that lived around me and in the neighborhood through a program called METCO, and they sponsor inner city kids that want to go to this public school in these suburban towns. Mm-hmm. And going to school in Wellesley, I mean, it prepared me now. I didn't know it then, but prepared me for success in whatever I chose, because it was like a private school. It was a public school, but it was like getting a private school education. Yeah. I mean, they had any type of club you can imagine. They had Glee Club, a math club, a chess club.
Did you end up joining any of those clubs, or like while you were there?
Well, you know what? I did archery.
Okay, archery. Yep. Are you still pretty good? Are you still pretty skilled and everything?
I'm a little rusty.
Okay.
If I put that bow in my hand, it'll all come back.
So you pretty much the Black Robin Hood. Okay, got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, more like his assistant, but okay. I'm a pretty good shot.
That's actually. So let me ask you: when was the last time you've actually done some archery, and have you done it with your wife, or any friends, or like in recent years or so?
No, not recently. Hold on. I'm sorry. I did. Oh, there was this. I'm trying to remember. When did I was in California. Yeah, we were in California, and I did some archery. I was just to uh, line up a shot in this movie, and yeah, one of the kids had a bow and arrow. So yeah,
Brought you
that's
back to
as
your
close as I
childhood.
came.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. All right. So, when was the last time you've been back to your hometown, or have even driven back by the first home that you lived in? Like, hey, this is where I lived in, and everything. When was the last time you done that?
I was there a year ago. Yeah, I
Okay.
do. Went to see my father. My mother has passed away.
My condolences to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we lost her in 2010. So yeah, I when I can, I'll go back and just check and see how he's doing. So yeah, it was about a year ago.
Have you tried getting your father to come down to where you are now, or you feel like he's better?
Well, what our plan is, we're in the midst of trying to find a house. So yeah, we definitely want to have him come down and spend some time. Spend some time. Like a couple weeks, a month.
Of course.
And I'm sure he'll like it. But yeah, that is our plan for him to come down and visit.
What do you typically try to do for your mother's heavenly birthday or the anniversary of her passing? Like, what do you try to do, like, typically each year?
Well, I always do a social media shout out. And have a picture of her and just say some encouraging words, because there's someone out there who may just lost their mom, to keep them encouraged, So
I love that.
Yeah, so that's what I try to do.
I love that. And I wanted to further go on to, I remember, off air, we talked about, being shy landed you into acting. Can you expound on what you mean by that, please?
Well, first of all, I wanted to be on TV ever since I was 8 years old. I was back then. There weren't many black folks on TV. What inspired me, what interested me was there was a comedian by the name of Flip Wilson.
I know Flip. Yes, I definitely know him.
Yeah, and he had his own show. And what I didn't know at the time, what I found out years later, was that Flip Wilson was the only African American performer that owned his own show.
Wow, really?
On a major network. I did not know that. I found that out years later. But yeah, he was my inspiration. For him to come out and and just entertain and just make people laugh. I said, hey, I wanna do that. And seeing Sammy Davis Jr. on the Ed Sullivan Show, him come out dancing. One week he'll come out singing, next week he'll come out tap dancing. I said, hey, I want to do that. So yeah, I wanted to be an actor ever since I was 8 years old.
Did you ever come across Flip before, him or Sammy Davis Jr. before they had
No, I haven't. No.
You never did come before they passed away? Okay.
Yeah, and at the time, like I was shy. I remember I would memorize commercials that would come on, and it would drive my mother crazy because she was like, yeah, you can remember that, but you can't remember your schoolwork.
Your schoolwork, yep. Sound, that's, let's go say that,
So yeah, it was, yeah, that's how it started. And, the shyness, I still think I am at times, and, I, like when I first did a stage production. This is years ago. It's probably about 9 or 10 years old. There's a play called Babes in Toyland, and I was a character in this fantasy land, and just going out on stage and watching that audience react to what we were doing, what I was doing. When I'm on stage, I'm in that character. I commit, and the shyness is gone because it's not me, it's the character. So I just embody that and embody that energy, and and try to translate that to to the audience, and hope they're entertained. So yeah,
that's right.
When I'm in a character, I'm in that character, for that moment in time.
I know that sometimes, depending on the different actor or actress or so, sometimes it's hard for some people I've come across where like they had to really force themselves to get out of that character mode.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say, if not the first character or the most memorable character where you really were like, your wife was like, babe, you can come out of the role, or somebody had to like really like snap you out of it and say, hey, go back to Dana in the house, hello Dana, and everything else like that?
Well, I tell you, I had a small role on ER. Remember ER?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and there was a scene where one of the cast members was going to do a television interview about the hospital, so he needed a makeup artist. So the character, the breakdown was flamboyant character. So I just went into flamboyantness, when I went into the audition, and I mean, the casting director was there, the director was there, and I believe 2 of the writers, and they were just on the floor laughing. I was just like, I just committed, and I went in with the thought, okay, I may not get this role, but let me just have a little fun with it, and lo and behold, they ended up casting me in the show. So so I was at home, I'm rehearsing, and my wife Kathy was helping me read, and she was like, hold on, do you really have to sound like that? So I said I'm the character. I said you this is what you need to do. You need to commit. You need to get in this. I think that's it hit her then how serious I took this. So yeah, she was like, wow. She was like, wow, you don't sound nothing like that. I said, exactly. That is the point. That is the point. So yeah, I think at that point, she was like, she said, okay, you can go back to being you.
Yeah, so. Go back. What are some roles that you always, because also I know that sometimes depending on the role can probably you don't want to compromise who you are, or there are like certain things that you're just not gonna do. What's an off limits role, or have there been roles where it was like, look, I'm not gonna say that because I'm not gonna take God's name in vain, or I'm not gonna use this much profanity, are there any roles like that where you have had to talk to the writers or directors, say, hey, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to disrespect my marriage like this, or whatever else it may be?
Well, there was an audition. This was years ago. The Wayans brothers wrote this comedy. I don't think it ever came out, but anyway, there was a scene where that took place in a men's public restroom, and the character that I was reading for, as I'm reading this scene, I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. So it was a short guy looking through this hole and watching someone go to the bathroom.
Like peeping, like a peeping Tom in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the guy going to the bathroom sees someone looking at him and throws something at him. I don't even remember what it was, but yes, I'm reading through this and I said, no. I walked out of the audition. I said, no, I'm not.
No, wait, but prior to walking out of the audition, did they say, hey, this role is going to offer you $3 million if you do this? Did they try to get you before you walked out? Up front, they say, hey, this is how much it's going to be, or you never even wanted to stick around to figure out?
Nope, never want to stick around.
Okay.
I just read that. I said,
Yeah, I was like, you know what? With that type of thing, I think sometimes when it comes to writing, depending, like, it's a lot of rough drafts out there. And then what I try to do, because I am an author, I try to let people read over my stuff. Like, hey, how does this sound? Would you say this? Or, I think sometimes, and I'm probably glad. It's a good thing that whatever they were trying to do never came out, because we live in this era where you get canceled for stuff you said 50 years ago. So it's probably a good thing that it was like a grand opening, grand closing, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you. I want to ask you the next question. I want to ask you. When it came to coming across your lovely wife Kathy and stuff like that, how were you prior to meeting her, and you were doing the gigs, working, Walmart, all that type of stuff. How were you able to balance your love life and also acting?
Well, I balance it by just being present, just being present. No matter how tired I got, no matter how long I worked, I always tried to make time for her. And now we have a son, and I always try to make time. There's so many fathers out there who just don't do that.
That's true. That's very true.
They adopt the idea or the notion. Okay, I make the money. Let me come home and have my chill moment. And that's fine. But if your son needs your attention, give it to him. If your wife needs your attention, give it to him.
That should be common sense, right?
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah. So I just try to be present, and keep it balanced.
That's right. So you wouldn't be like, what? Oh my God, you're leaving me, babe. You're never here. You're always gone. It's like I just want to, that's it. That you become a workaholic and you don't have time for a love life. Like that's never good. That's
exactly.
never good. And speaking of, continuing on the subject of marriage, what are 3 important characteristics of how you have kept your marriage going so strong over 25 years?
Let's see. I'd say 3 things. Okay, I'd say communication.
Mm-hmm.
Communication, patience,
mm-hmm.
and understanding.
Very important.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, those 3 things.
What's your favorite pastime that you mentioned with your son? What is one of your favorite pastimes you love doing with your son?
Oh, just hanging out. I try to. The weather is getting.
Cooler.
A little cool now, but yeah, just hanging out with him. Over the last summer. He's found these. They sell in the store that you. There's balloons attached to this device. Mm-hmm. That you can hook up to a faucet, and they make like instant water balloons.
Mm-hmm.
So we would fill those and go down in the in our complex. They have a basketball court, and we would just throw water balloons at each other.
Okay.
And that was fun. It still is, But yeah, that's what I really love doing.
Okay. All right then.
Yeah.
I want to know as well. If you weren't acting, what else would you be doing?
Probably photography.
Okay.
That's what I went to school for, and
Well, shout out your college. You guys shout out for the one time. What college was it?
Franklin Institute. Yeah, but it wasn't my. It wasn't my. I kind of thought that I'd have a career, but I always got drawn back to performing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, I'd probably be doing photography if I wasn't acting.
Now you said that you thought you would have a career with photography, but you just got performing. Acting drew you back in. What happened?
Yes.
What do you mean? Explain what you mean by that. Like, what happened with that? Career.
Well,
of photography?
I at the time I didn't own my own studio. I would do a lot of my work at the photography school that I went to. I actually went to two. There's Franklin Institute, and then there was New England School of Photography.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent the most time at New England School of Photography. And I didn't own my own studio, so it was really an effort to do studio shoots, because you had to get on a sign-up sheet to rent studio space. And I was just kind of going back and forth with myself, and I just got drawn into performing again, and I said, maybe let me try this. So that's how that happened.
Okay, all right then. And I want to before we go to our little fast 5 random fun questions and everything, I know one thing about when you do make it on television, you have all these newfound family members that you didn't realize were your family. So did it get to the point where you had to, how did you deal with that when it came to dealing with these newfound family members, people asking for a crazy cash request, whatever else it may be? Like how did you first deal with that, or have still dealt with that?
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's an expectation, I should say,
mm-hmm.
that someone sees you in a few projects, and to them they think you've made it, and they don't know it's a process. So there's an expectation of I guess there's an expectation of wealth. So when they're brought down to earth, there's almost shock. No one has asked for anything crazy like a new car or something like that. But
that's good. That's good. That's good.
But I mean, my wife and I, we're generous people. We'll help a family member if they're in need. But
that's it. If you're in need, that's the key word. That's the key word. If you're in need.
Yeah. If you're not in need, don't come to us and say, hey, can I have this? Can I have this? And what makes me laugh is they'll throw the request out there, and then they'll say, I know you got it.
Oh wow! Not checking your pockets. Oh, I saw you on vacation in the Bahamas. Like, I know you got it. Oh, I've been saving for this for 10 years. Thank you. Okay, somebody flew us out. Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy, but nothing ridiculous. Like a new car or a house. But hold on.
I'm a knock on wood. I knocked on wood, so that won't happen, because I know that can be what's so crazy, even with me doing my me trying to get my venture out with this, with my dreams and aspirations of radio and television. I have, a lot of us men will come up to me and be like, hey, I know you got it. Like, you was out there traveling. Can you help me out? And they'll come with some of the craziest excuses. I had one guy I remember say, hey, we need I need $7 to get medication for my mother. bro, come on, go back to school. Okay, $7 for medication, man. Dana, you be surprised. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I'm in the star status if I'm getting these type of requests. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, so I want to go ahead and go to our fast five fun questions. All right, I remember you had set off air, and I wanted to kind of divulge more into it because I was really, I was like, wow, okay. You mentioned about that a crazy fan moment. I think you had said there was a woman following you in the grocery store or something. So can you tell about the craziest fan moment or stalker-ish moment that you probably have had since being in your career?
Well, that was one of them. Yeah, that was one of them. A lady following me all around the grocery store. And this was like the next day after I appeared on that television show, and that was one of them. And I said, wow. I'm so glad I'm not at the status of someone who's really recognizable, who's nationally and internationally known, because I know they can't do something like that. But yeah, that was one of them. I was.
How did you get her? How did you get her to stop following you, or how'd you?
I just turned. I mean, every aisle I went down, she was there, and I said, can I help you with something? And she asked. She said, "Oh, I just wanted to know if you were that guy on that TV show last night."
Okay, then all you had to do was say,
nice
"Hey, excuse me."
Like,
what the?
I know. Yeah, I said, "Hey, nice to meet you." And I went about my business. Okay. And she went about her business.
That's good. Yeah. I'm glad you did that. You said you were getting gas. What happened with the gas?
Yeah, I was getting gas, and I happened to go to this gas station all the time when we lived in California, and someone on the opposite side of the street. It was the gas station is at a corner where there's a light, an intersection. Mm-hmm. So this guy yells out his car, thinking I'm somebody else. Do you remember the movie Friday?
Yes.
The very first one.
Yes. Miss Parker's husband. Yes.
Yeah. Tony Cox is his name. I know him. Well, we ended up working together a number of times, as a matter of fact. So he thinks I'm him. And he yells out the window, hey, Friday, do for Friday, hey. So I'm not turning around. He's like, hey, man, hey. So I just waved. I got my gas and I turned. I went in the opposite direction when the light changed. So yeah, it gets crazy. But I've never. Never really had anything.
Nothing too bad. Like nobody followed you home or nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Oh, let me tell you this one last thing. I was coming back to LA. Mm-hmm. I was in Canada, and I was coming back to LA. So I went through security and all of that, and this TSA agent. Actually, he was an airport police officer, mm-hmm. And this was in Canada. Big black dude. So he says, "Hey, excuse me, can you come back?" So I said, "Oh man," they already saw my passport. So I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" So I walked back, and he said, "Hey, you're the guy from Friday, huh?" I said, "Well," I said, "Come on, let me get a picture. Let me get a picture from my wife." So I sat there and posed, man. And he thought I was Tony Cox. And then when you try to be honest, they still don't believe you.
Yeah, no, of course they never do. Now, do you know if Tony Cox ever gets mistaken for you or that?
I don't know, and I
if you ever asked him or so.
Yeah, because I'm 4'5". He's like 3-something.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's smaller than I am.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, we look nothing alike. Look nothing alike. But, to them, we all look alike.
Yeah, you know what? I'm like, guys, come on now. Just because they're a smaller statue doesn't mean that they're... But okay, all right then. All right,
Exactly.
Let me go to the next one. If you could have another home in any city, state, or country, where would it be?
Maui.
Okay, there. When's the last time you've been out there?
This was... I was there in the 80s, 1986.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. Okay.
But, yeah, I would love to live in Maui.
All right. Do you remember your very first house phone or either cell phone number?
Yes, I do.
Have you called it since then just to see, like, okay, I wonder, is it a business or who owned it?
I have it. But, yeah, I do remember. 617-445-9040.
All right, there it is. Okay. All right, let me go to the last one, then we're going to go ahead and wrap up, but I want to ask you anything you're working on, all that good stuff. If you could secretly be an animal or have an exotic animal, what would it be?
Exotic animal. I could be... Wow. I'm trying to think. I don't know what they're called. They climb trees. I'm trying to think.
A lemur? A lemur? Is it?
They're not monkeys. They're not. I'm trying to think. Are they sloths? They move. I think it is a sloth. They move really slow. They climb trees, and their feet look like hands.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not monkeys. Or they could be of the monkey family. I just don't know the species.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You would have that. Have you ever got a chance to pet one?
No. But I saw one at the San Diego Zoo.
Okay, all right then. Well, hey, maybe you might go to wherever the origin of they are, and you could probably have one, pet it or be on its back or so. They're probably nice animals in their natural habitat.
Yeah, I don't know, but they move really slow.
ain't nothing wrong with that. They move at that dial-up speed. All right, so before we get out of here, please let everyone know what you are working on, what's to look for in the new year, and all that other good stuff. Any books out? You gonna post for any magazines? What are we doing in the future so we can look more for you?
Well, I'm gonna do some more writing. I got three movies coming out probably next summer. It's all stunt work. One is called Civil War. It takes place in the future where water is scarce and people get killed over it.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. And there's a horror movie directed by Lee Daniels called The Deliverance, and I play the demon in it. And the movie I just finished was The Underdogs. It's a football comedy starring Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dizzle. Okay, let me find out. All right.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be any of these movies? The one that just came out with Snoop Dogg, was that on Netflix? Is that Hulu? Is it in theaters now?
The Civil War, I believe, is gonna be it's a widescreen release. Deliverance is Netflix, and Underdogs is also Netflix.
Okay. Well, all right then. Well, thank you so much for taking out your time, in your, because I know you're in Dubai currently, about to jump back on the camel and all that good stuff. I know you out there living your life. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for having, for coming on and everything. And guys, make sure you all please support, watch his movies, check him out, man, and don't be trying to hit his DM on no foo asking him for, hey, kid, look, man, I need about $5,000, man. I done got. He doesn't. The answer's no. Block, okay. But this has been another great episode of the Kendra Crump Show, and we are signing out.